Okay, hello everybody. So I wanted to come on here and just talk a little bit about writing, because some people might think it's like easy, and it takes a lot of determination, a lot of discipline, um, you know, a lot of powering through. I don't have a script or anything for this video, so I just want to come on here and talk about my struggles. I'm actually writing a story, Echoing Sparks. I've been working on it since the end of 8th grade, so it's been like 2 years. And I'm finally almost done with the first draft. I've changed it completely once already. It had completely different characters, completely different story, but the theme and the area it takes place in has stayed the same, like the general concepts, I guess. And I mean, I look pretty nerdy right now, got my blue light glasses on. I'm pretty tired. I've been working all day on it, and I'm actually really happy about where it's going. But writing, honestly, isn't easy. I thought it'd be easy for me, I could get the story done quick, 2 months. But me personally, I'm a perfectionist, and I would work on it a few days, and then like a week later I would go back and I would try like revising what I already had, even though I had like a paragraph or two. I didn't have that much written anyway, and I would just go back and I would revise and try to make better what was already written. And that continued for like 7-8 months, like a long time. And finally I put my foot down. I'm like, I want to get this story done. Like, it's important to me. I've already put so much time and effort into it, and so I put a no editing. I just told myself I wouldn't edit for, well, let's say a month. And so I just wrote, and I was like, it's okay if it's bad. It's the first draft, and I think it was important to hear that. It can always be revised, but you can't revise nothing. You gotta have words down first. Just get the ideas on the paper, and give yourself a deadline. I think deadlines are important, because if you don't need to finish it within a certain amount of time, you can finish it whenever, then you'll probably work on it less. Or I did, at least, where I kept putting it off. There are months where I didn't work on it, or I did a little bit and I was like, oh, that's fine. Waited 3 weeks. And one thing I did to help me get actually into writing, where I was debating it, is setting a 15-minute timer and saying, oh, I'll just work for this 15 minutes. It just has to be 15 minutes a day. Or honestly, if you really don't want to write, you could just do, oh, I can only write, or I'll set a timer for 5 minutes, and I'll just write this whole 5 minutes. But I noticed is when I actually started writing, I didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep writing, and I surpassed, even today, I started with 15 minutes, I turned into 30, and then, 10 hours later, I've almost finished the first draft. So I'm really proud of where it's gone and everything. Lots of water, lots of food, very mentally taxing and tiring, which is another big thing that's not really talked about, is how tiring writing can actually be. It's a lot of mental work, a lot of focus, so make sure to take breaks in between that to not get tired out. I usually took breaks every 20 to 40 minutes of writing. It took 15 minutes, sometimes even like an hour, and I watched YouTube, I ate, I just relaxed, and I came back, and it was fresh again. I wrote, and Sometimes if you're, say, like close to the end, it's good to push through the hard times, but if you push yourself too much, you might get burnt out, or you might just you might be writing just complete like slop. Like you might not like what you're writing at all, and that can also really discourage you. So I think it's important to take breaks. Cut yourself some slack, but also work hard. Good stories take time. Good things take time in life. You can't rush things. If you rush things, they won't be as good. And also, the hardest part isn't making a good story. It's starting in the first place, because hey, it's easier for a bad story to be revised and turned into a good story than nothing turning into something. It's the hardest part is starting. Keeping up with that, not giving up when you don't feel like it, or it's not as easy as you thought. I've learned a lot, and also how to be okay with not having a perfect story, and that perfectionist in me, how to let go of that sometimes, and just write, just keep it flowing, keep the ideas going. And I didn't expect for my story to take the turn it has. I've grown a lot in the process of writing this, and lots of change, lots of things have changed. My thoughts and philosophies, and my way of writing, all of that switched up, and that's also moved the story in a direction that I may have not thought possible, or that I didn't think it would take that turn. But here we are. But I'm very proud of the story, and I believe you guys can do whatever you put your mind to if you're willing to stay determined and put in the work. Things will be handed to you on a platter. You can't do things overnight. It's better to make a bad project than to have 20 unfinished projects. The difference between the successful people and the standard people is actually following through with your ideas. Everybody can be a dreamer, but not many people see their projects through, or actually set things in motion to get that complete. So, starting's your first step. Continue. Take breaks. Don't let other people's expectations, stop your creativity or your project, or whatever you want to do. Everybody's gonna hate, but because they may be uncomfortable with it, or they may not have achieved their dreams, so they don't want you to succeed. I know, especially with this writing project, I've shown a few of my teachers, and so writing this, I've at one point was thinking, oh, how would they see it? I can't have this. Or what would the normal person want to read? But honestly, just make what you want to make. There will be an audience. You'll attract the right people by being yourself, and just writing what you want to write. If you try watering it down, one, it could be a worse story, and two, you'll honestly just regret it, that you didn't go all in, you didn't do the project that you wanted to, and when you look back at it a few years down the road, you'll be more upset at the things you didn't do than the things you did. And so, just stay safe, do your projects, have fun, be cringy, go outside the box, all these things. Just, do what you want to do, and see it through. That's all I wanted to talk about. I will have an update once my story is released, That may be a few weeks down the road, a few months, but you know, we'll see. You'll get the updates, and there will be links in places where you can read the story. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. That's all.